All right, picture this him standing in a factory that smells like old coffee and nerves, wearing boots caked with dried mud and an old flannel shirt, keeping to myself by the janitor's closet, just trying to blend in while all hell is quietly breaking loose over a machine nobody can fix. You know those moments when it feels like the whole world is laughing at you before you even open your mouth? Yeah, that happened. The CEO, Leonard Graves, that guy who probably spends more on watches than you or I do on rent, suddenly points right at me, grinning, and dares me just some farm kid waiting on my uncleto fix a $6 million packing machine. The whole floor erupts in laughter. I can see them all, from the engineers in their fancy shirts to the managers clutching their tablets, thinking this is just some big joke make the country boy look dumb for the camera. But the thing is, I wasn't scared. I wasn't angry. I just took a deep breath, felt every eye burning a hole in me, and I walked straight up to that giant, broken beast. The air goes dead quiet. My Uncle Roy, the night janitor here, yeah. The only reason I'm even in this place tries to cut in, says I'm just visiting, but Graves waves him off, loving the show. So I step up, run my fingers across the cold steel panel, eyes scanning the control interface, ignoring the snickers and those phones pointed my way. Let me back up a Sisu. Ever see a room full of experts suddenly turn into statues? That's what it felt like. I crouch down, peer inside this mess of wires and sensors, and right there, in about 2 seconds, I spot the problem of polarity marker flipped, some wires all wrong, looks like a rookie install. I reach into my backpack, pull out a tiny screwdriver, and start working, hands steady as stone. A few execs mutter protests, but even Graves is eating it up for the cameras now, convinced I'm about to fry the whole system. I get the wires sorted, pop the reset panel, and for a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then, the whole machine comes to life, the conveyor lights up, gears spin smooth, and the control board starts blinking green, just like it's supposed to. The room loses its mind. Phones are shaking, engineers are whispering, and Graves is standing there, jaw clenched, trying to force a smile. Beginner's luck, he says, but you can hear the crack in his voice. That's when Clara, one of the senior engineers, shakes her head and says, "No, that's skill." She's staring at me like I just pulled a rabbit out of a hat. She wants to know how I knew what to do. I just brush off my jeans and tell her the truth. I helped my dad build stuff like this on our farm, out of necessity, not out of choice. And then here's the twist: someone asks who my father is, and I say, Cole Whitaker. The room just freezes. See, my dad's kind of a legendary engineer who walked away from the industry years back after an accident to run our family's farm. The kind of guy everybody talks about in hushed tones, but nobody expects to see again, let alone as the father of the so-called janitor's kid. As I say his name, my dad actually walks in tall, solid, calm as ever. Graves Grindicipius. My dad's reputation is real story just smashed whatever illusion these people had about who gets to be a genius in this world. Now, here's where things really shift. Graves tries to act like it's all good, but you can see the sweat. The story isn't about a kid fixing a machine, Anna Marie, it's about power, about who belongs and who doesn't. My dad stands by me, tells everyone I've earned my place, not just his name. Even the machines seem to hush for a second. And in the middle of all this, Clara steps forward and actually asks if I'll teach the engineering team a few things her respect is real, not just for me, but for what I represent. Suddenly, this room of doubters and cynics starts to see me, not as the janitor's nephew, but as someone with a mind that could move mountains or at least keep their $1 million equipment running. Graves, cornered and looking less like a king every second, asks if we'd join the company I'm and my dad. I look at my old man, his face full of pride and something deeper, and I realize this moment isn't just about us. It's about every hardworking person who's ever been written off because they didn't fit the mold. You know what I mean? I say, yes, not for the money, not for the fame, but to prove that brilliance and grit can come from anywhere, even a muddy back road. From then on, everything changes. Instead of patching up problems, I start redesigning machines, making them smarter, better combining what I learned in the field with the tech know-how these guys only dream about. Claire's got my back in meetings, the factory's buzzing with new energy, and slowly, the old prejudices start to crumble. Even Graves can't deny what's happening. The company stock goes up, media starts sniffing around, and people outside the walls start hearing the story about the janitor's kid who wasn't supposed to make it. And just when you think it's all sunshine, the board finally asks Graves to step down. Turns out, fighting change doesn't work so well when change is fixing everything. They offer my dad a consultant role, and me? They asked me to lead the innovation team. Yeah, the farm boy is now running the show. There's this big celebration, people clapping, my dad tearing up, me looking around and realizing the whole journey was about more than machines. It was about dignity, hope, and not letting anyone else tell your story. But here's the kicker. Months later, Graves calls May's voice, finally, is respectful. He asks if I'll lead a new project on sustainable tech. Want me to help transform the company again. I remember all those nights on the farm, my dad teaching me to work with what you have, never complain, never quit. That's the real foundation, those lessons, those scars. I take the job, but I make it clear it's not about me. It's about giving a shot to every overlooked kid out there. At the next company meeting, I tell the whole crowd what I believe. Innovation means nothing if it doesn't serve people, if it doesn't reach those who've been left behind. Suddenly, the world outside starts to pay attention. My story goes viral, not because I got lucky, but because I refuse to stay invisible. I become this symbol, a reminder that greatness doesn't care about your last name or where you started. And you know what? It sparks something bigger, a revolution in how people think about talent, about justice, about who deserves a seat at the table. By the time the sun sets on that factory, I'm not just the janitor's kid or the flannel shirt farm boy. I am a leader, a builder, someone who showed a whole community that impossible is just another word for not yet. And even though my journey's nowhere near finished, I know one thing for sure. Sometimes, the only thing standing between you and your future is the courage to step out of the shadows and show them what you're really made of. So, what do you think? Does it matter where you come from? Or is it what you do that counts? Let's talk. Drop a comment, share your story, and let's see if we can change a few minds together.